Hello, hello. I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Running to Write, where I used to give questionable running advice through running metaphors, but have since switched over to hosting productivity sprints. That's what we're here for. I am currently working on the fourth manuscript of my ongoing series, Into the Void. And I've been going through a bunch of iterations with that, and I am prepping to send them off to a proofreader, which will be the last professional editing step. I'm going to do one last sanity check and just rewrite through it all. Try to do as minimal changes as possible. Well, sorry, I'm going to send it off to the proofreader, going to make all those changes that they come back with, and then I'm going to edit as much as I can. And do one last sanity check and edit it as little as I can. Yeah. Richard, hey, thank you for joining in. Always appreciate you being here. And I do like how much you support Mondays. I completely disagree with you, but Mondays are Mondays, and the week can only get better from here. That's the story I am sticking with. Ms. Blogger, hey, how's it going? Always a pleasure to have you here and to discuss your outline for your fiction, fantasy, and contemporary paranormal romance novel. Let's see here. This was it was a busy weekend. It was very productive. I was up in New Jersey the previous weekend, so this was a weekend I was here, and I took care of a whole bunch of stuff around the house. I'm quite sore. I managed to fix the bathroom sink. There was a connector piece in the stop. There was a connector piece for the stopper. I don't know quite what it's called, but anyways, I have 5 inches of clearance in the sink, and the standard size for pieces is 6 inches. So I had to borrow a hacksaw from somebody and just saw off the end of it and kind of jerry rig a solution together. So I didn't need to get my plumber out here to just handle it, which he probably would do the exact same thing. The only way I could improve it is if I could come up with some kind of glue to attach to both sides so the stopper kind of is more permanent. Although, downsides of a permanent solution is then I can't replace this part when it eventually rusts, which what it will naturally do over 10, 20 years. The problem is that if I keep moving the piece up and down where it's connected, it's going to move out more, so the thing that's connected to it will eventually fall off, and they'll have to reattach it and whatever. So I would like a permanent solution. I don't know. I guess if it stays on for a year, it's probably good enough. Or I might just consider, I don't know. I couldn't really find a good clamp for it, so the people at home, or I guess it was at Lowe's. People at Lowe's couldn't really help me out at all. I actually asked them for their ideas on a clamp to put around this, and they could not help me, although I'm sure there is a very easy piece to do. Basically would need to be just this and something that screws on both sides and doesn't move. Wouldn't need to be anything sophisticated, and I guarantee I actually have that as it's upstairs on my ring light. There's a clamp that it uses, and that would be just barely fine. It's just the problem is that it's attached to a ring light. So I guarantee the piece was at Lowe's. They just, I have all kinds of issues with the people at the local Lowe's anyways, because it's not like I know a whole lot, but I clearly know more than the people there. And there are times where I just sort of help myself to the tools they have because I know how to use the tools better than they do. There was one time where, I was cutting new keys for this house, and they didn't know how to use their own tool, and so I just did it for them. And so the next time I came around, I did the exact same thing because I guess the first time I handed my keys to the guy, and he did a bad job of it, so the key didn't actually work in this house. So when I went back there again, I just did it myself. And then there was somebody who was came over to help me and hey, do you need help with that? I'm like, no, because you screwed up last time, so I'm good. But yeah, do not value the employees at the local Lowe's because they are not that great. But yeah, anyways, really productive weekend. Got to play a bunch of Didn't play as much games as I would like because I was doing a whole bunch of housing things. Didn't get as much writing as I would like, so I was working on chapter 18 last weekend. Yeah, I was on chapter 18, and I did a few iterations of that. So I did a few iterations with 18 and 19 because they're really kind of pivotal chapters. And so I am starting on chapter 20 for our first productivity sprint, which isn't a whole lot of... I didn't get a whole lot of writing done last week. I did a couple of rounds, like I said, a couple of rounds of 18, a couple of rounds of 19, because there were some changes that I wanted to add in, some notes to myself that I wanted to fix up and touch up. And then once I did those changes, I needed to start from the beginning and make sure that everything sort of lines up with those and they didn't add in new issues. So a whole bunch of complicated ways of saying that I did not write a whole lot last weekend. Yes, awesome. Good. Everybody should play Age of Empires. It's a fantastic game. I have been playing Age of Empires 2. They have 3, 4, and I think they keep coming out with new versions of 1. It used to be a lot more fun. It's definitely getting worse with every DLC they include, because like it's free to play online, and so the only way they make money is with DLCs, and so they just add in new civilizations to justify the cost of the DLCs. However, it just makes the game is becoming so much more cluttered over the past few years. Like every 6 months, they come out with 3 new civilizations, and I'm still kind of... I buy the DLCs because that's how I can help contribute, but I'm really just contributing to the problem, and I rarely play as them. I mean, I usually stick with the old people, the old civs. So Lithuanians, good cavalry. Who else do I go as? Malay. Like, I rarely play as the new civilizations. So the most recent one was South America. They did one for China, the 3 empires. Although I guess it's 3 empires, and then they split up. Whatever, there were 5 civilizations there. I think they added 3 new ones. They upgraded 2 of them, or maybe they split one off into 2, and then they had 3. I don't know. It's a whole bunch of complicated things. The point is that every 6 months they add 3 new civilizations, and it's becoming completely unwieldy. So the game is less fun when you have such randomness, because you can't remember the nuances of your opponents. So before, when there was like 30 civs, you could know exactly who you're going against and how to counter them, but now that it's basically doubled, or 1.5 at this point, and we're on the verge of, we're fast approaching doubling. It's you'll come against a new civ and you're like, well, I think they're like this, but I don't actually know, and so there's a lot more RNG than skill with a lot of the gaming there, which I don't necessarily like. I like, if you're going to play a strategy game, I like there to be less RNG involved. But it doesn't matter because I play with my friends, and so we all just kind of do our own strategies. Mine is hide behind my friends and then just overwhelm them with dead bodies. I usually set my army spawning points to be the enemy line, and then I just flood them with whatever cheap unit I can. So with Lithuanians, that's usually scouts. With Magyars, that's usually scouts or whatever. And so then I just slowly overwhelm them. Meanwhile, my friends will be actually doing the strategy part of it, and they will be, using the real counters to whatever our opponent is playing against. So I overwhelm them with numbers. I overwhelm them with holding the line, and it doesn't always work. It is a very, very weak strategy. It is very easy to overcome, but it's a lot of fun too. So sometimes I get, sometimes I can do some microing and actually control my units to get around giant ballistas and whatnot. But usually it's either I overwhelm them with force or I die. Anyways, we're not here to talk about AoE 2, although I will happily play any of you with, if you message me or whatever. It's a lot of fun. We are here for productivity sprints. and I've already talked to you about how last week went. So let's get started. I have chapter 20 ready to go. I have 30 minutes on the clock, and I will see you all after the first sprint. And welcome back. That was a nice long sprint. I finished with chapter 20 and I'm going to move on to chapter 21. But first, I am going to work on some note cards because I have a whole bunch of things for book 5 that I want to copy down into here as I transfer them into the brainstorm, or transfer them from the brainstorming Word document into these note cards, which I will then use later. So I'm taking a break from working on the manuscript for book 4. And I'm going to be focusing on documenting my note cards because eventually I will want to get around to book 5 and I am going to have my work cut out for me. But until then, I am going to keep on adding to what is fast becoming a problem. But yeah, I have a lot of good ideas for where the story is going, and I will need them because well, yeah, the book 5 and possibly book 6. I don't know if I can finish in book 5, so I'm at this point planning to have a book 6. But we are fast moving towards the end. And rather than have it be too sudden, I want to take the time to get there, which means that I have come up with a couple of interesting conflicts for book 6, which will come as a pretty nice surprise. So hopefully they work out. These rough ideas in my head will work out. I'll figure that when I eventually go through to completely outlining book 5 and then try and see what plot points can be left over for book 6 to hit, and emotional points too, because I don't want to go through everything in book 5. I want to have some really good stuff left over for book 6 because there are some very interesting places I plan on taking the characters, and I'll make sure that they get there eventually or within a reasonable amount of time so that the full weight will be there. Answer Drake, thank you for joining in, and I guess you're already gone, but I do appreciate you coming in, hanging out, and saying hi. Richard, awesome. Reading is still productivity. Honestly, sleeping is still productivity, and gaming is productivity. Whatever you want to do, however you want to spend these sprints, just come to hang out. That is perfectly fun. Are you reading anything fun? Are you, oh, this goes into my ear. It sounds weird. Are you, yeah, like I said, are you reading anything fun? I'm guessing you aren't working on editing your book at the moment, because if you were, then you would have mentioned that. So this is probably just reading for fun, which I fully approve of. Here's the copy that's for your book, so it's what's next. The latest Dan Brown book. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I just finished a trilogy from an indie author that I got a while back, and so now I'm probably going to get back to I feel basic, but Dungeon Crawler Carl, or there's this other book series I wanted to start, but that's like 10 books long, so I might just do Dungeon Crawler Carl. I think I have 3 or 4 more of those books to go, so I might knock those out first and then just sit in for the long haul as I inhale the next year, probably that more than a year, I'm sure, those 10 books, because I know they're like, I think there's 10 main books in whatever series it is. I have it written down somewhere. So it's like 10 books, plus there's a whole bunch of offshoots, and I don't think I'm going to go into the offshoots. I think we're going to try and stick to like the main storyline, because I don't necessarily like it. Yeah, Dungeon Crawler is fun. It's plays like a video game. It's got some interesting characters. It does, I don't know. I don't like a lot of the things they do. It is very on the nose with how it treats its characters, and there's no subtlety there whatsoever. But it's a fun ride, so I say let it rip. You read Deep Storm by Lincoln Child, and it was absolutely fantastic. Cool. Let me see if I can. I can stall for a minute. So books. I have all the books that I'm planning on reading, or on my TBR list right here. already did Dresden Files, so that was I really liked 12 Months. The entire book feels like it is coping, which is fine because of how things ended in the last book. Book 18 was just this one massive battle, which is why I don't want to have book 6 for my series just be one giant fight. So I am going to outline very, very carefully. This is the best way I can put it, because I don't want book 6 to just be like fighting, or and yes, there's character building that goes through fighting, but like the series as a whole isn't my series as a whole isn't about the fights. I mean, yes, there are big fights in there, and there's a lot of little fights and whatnot, but I try to make the fighting a lot less than the overall point of the story and the themes and everything. So the series I was looking at was the Cradle series, which is I know very little about, but it came extremely highly recommended. And I already bought the first book. So it's on my Kindle right now. So I guess I should probably buy Dungeon Crawler Carl first and pick it up. But we'll see. Anyways, let's get started on sprint number 2 as I work on getting these cards out, or getting all the information on my computer onto these cards. So I will see you all in 20 minutes. And welcome back. Oh, there we go. And welcome back. I just finished taking all those notes. So good times. Publishing with Andy. Hey, thank you for joining in. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you. Let's see here. And Richard calling a night. All right. I will see you next time. And I'm glad that you're actually getting a good night's sleep, hopefully. It's oh boy, it's 1 a.m. there. So thank you for staying up late. I really do appreciate it. You don't have to do that, but it is awesome when you do get to hang out. And yeah, I don't really have a whole lot going on. So by next week, I will have probably hired a professional editor to proofread it. Now, granted, that won't be fully taking place until September, October timeframe. That's when I kind of set up to have it, but I don't know. I requested that it be done by August 31st, so I have no idea to backfill that. So it might be the first week of October 31st. So it might be the first week of October where I finally deliver my completed manuscript. And if so, then I will try and do another. I'll try and finish off this iteration. I'm in chapter 20 right now. And I'll try and do another full iteration next month, assuming that I have a full month to do it. Whew. Lots going on. And I'm going to mark these calendar items off as completed because I did copy everything over on my notes. All right. And so we have time for one more sprint, and I'm going to try and I'm not going to try. I'm going to finish working on chapter 21. I guess it's kind of long. It is 2,000 words. So hopefully I can do it in 20 minutes. I will see you on the other side of that. I'm going to sign off pretty quick once I at the end of that sprint. But next week is my regularly scheduled time, and yeah, I don't like I said, I don't have a lot going on this week. Just a general work week, a fun, relaxing week at home. I don't have any plans. My best friend is back in town, so I might hang out with him next weekend. But I have no plans. It's a standard week. Hopefully, it'll be easy or relatively normal. And we'll see how a week from now how wrong I was about how filled out next weekend is going to be, and how this week everything just goes to hell because of work. So I don't know, but in theory, it will be relatively easy. With that in mind, let's get another 20 minutes on the clock, and I will see you all just before we're closing out. Take care. Welcome back. Thank you for hanging out for the third and final sprint of tonight. I completed chapter 21. I'm moving on to chapter 22. Hopefully, over the course of the next week, I will be able to do a couple of chapters, maybe get up to chapter 25. So get up to or finish chapter 24. So that way, next week, next Monday, I can start on chapter 25. I don't honestly know how this week will go, so I can't make any promises there. But I think that's a good target to set, as these chapters are very important. The changes I make are getting to be minimal, sort of, but it is a lot more contemplative because there are things that I'm catching which require a lot of mental processing to remember. Like it's basically continuity checks, which are extremely high. They require a lot of mental processing there. So it's slow going. And then once I make the change, I need to make sure that it doesn't create new issues. So there's a whole lot of mental burdens there. The point being that now I am reading very, very slowly and carefully to make sure that all of the tiny details that I change and tweak are carried through and they don't create new issues. So all that to say, hopefully I'll be able to get up to chapter 25 for next Monday, and I will see you then. So until then, have a wonderful, wonderful week. And like I always say, thank you for joining in, and let's keep writing together. I'll see you when I see you.